Hey guys, my book report is on Flags of Our Fathers. This book was written by James Bradley, who is the son of one of the six flag raisers at Iwo Jima, John Bradley. He wrote this book to explore the lives of the six men who raised the flag and how the picture of them raising it affected their lives after the war. He also investigated how and why each of them enlisted in the military and how they got to the point of raising the flag. So who were these flag raisers? They were John Bradley, Rene Gagnon, Harlan Block, Franklin Solzy, Mike Strank, and Ira Hayes. So why and when did each person enlist? Well, John Bradley joined the Navy because he did not want to be included in combat, even though he later transferred to the Marines as a corpsman before the Battle of Iwo Jima. Harlan Block joined the military right out of high school, along with his entire football team. Franklin Solzy joined the military while he was still enrolled in high school. Ira Hayes also joined, even though he was from a very peaceful tribe, the Pima tribe. Mike Strank enlisted before World War II even began, and Rene Gagnon enlisted when he was only 17. So how did they get to Iwo Jima? The six men were stationed at Camp Pendleton, where they trained for battle and awaited their orders. They were then assigned to the 3rd Platoon of the 28th Regiment, or otherwise known as Easy Company. They were then transported to Iwo Jima with about 1,500 other troops in order to fight and take over the island. This was a major task for them due to the fact that the Japanese had been shooting down Allied bombing planes who were trying to get to the mainland, and the Japanese had the obvious high ground. So what made Iwo Jima so difficult? Well, the Japanese had immediate high ground, like I stated before, from the moment that the troops arrived. The Japanese also had a completely underground system of tunnels dug so that they can go from place to place completely undetected by the enemy. The U.S. was unaware of this system when they arrived, and none of their maps could have even guessed that it was there. The blockhouses also used with heavy artillery were disguised in the hills of the island, and those were the blockhouses that created the most damage. The U.S. troops were also heavily outnumbered by the Japanese troops on that island. So where was the flag raised? The flag was raised on Mount Suribachi. This flag was raised as a replacement flag, and this was also deemed by the six raisers that it was not as important as the original flag they were replacing. Joe Rosenthal, who was a photographer for World War II, was there and was able to capture the moment of the men as they were raising the replacement flag. While he took the picture, Joe was unaware of how the picture was going to turn out, but he sent it anyways back to the United States to be published in the media. So what happened after the flag was raised? The Battle of Iwo Jima went on for about 4 more weeks before it ended. Mike Strank was killed by Japanese mortar fire during battle. Harlan Block passed away while also in battle. Franklin Solzy was actually shot on an open road while he was attempting to evade enemy forces. Joe Rosenthal's photograph becomes an instant hit with the United States media. Rene Gagnon has to identify the men in the photograph, but he makes a mistake and misidentifies them. He mistakes Harlan Block for Hank Hansen and does not include Ira Hayes. President Roosevelt orders for the men identified in the photograph to be returned home in order to participate in the 7th Bond Tour. So what the 7th Bond Tour was an effort by the government to sell bonds and raise money for the military in efforts to win World War II. The men from the photograph were cast as heroes, even though they refused to acknowledge that themselves. They claimed they are no different from the other men and women out there in the war fighting every single day. The tour was a success and earned around $26 billion in war bonds. So post-war, John Bradley returned home and married his former wife, Betty Van Gorp. Rene Gagnon went to work and he married Pauline Gagnon. Ira Hayes returned to the Pima Reservation in Arizona in order to work and get back to his normal life. He also makes the correction that it was in fact Harlan and not Hank who is in the picture of the 6 men raising the flag. Ira had a difficult time while getting back to a normal life. He actually ended up becoming an alcoholic and was in trouble with the law many times. He was also sent back for a brief stint in another military stint, but then was sent home where his alcohol problems became even worse. A month after his last arrest in 1954, he was found dead in the snow after getting in a fight over a card game. Renee and John post-war. Renee returned home and worked several different jobs for a long time. He later passed after having a heart attack at the age of 54. John also returned home to work. He passed suddenly in 1994 after living a long and healthy life post-war. Thank you guys. I hope y'all enjoyed it. It was fun.